How to harness the power of your voice to address the climate crisis. Part 1, Power. Welcome, I'm so glad you're here. My name is Nadia Colburn. I am a member of Extinction Rebellion in Massachusetts, and today I'm going to be talking about how to talk about the climate and ecological crisis and why talking and communicating about it is so very important. So this is the first of 3 videos. Thanks for being here, and I hope you enjoy it. So a little bit about myself. I am the mother of 2 teenagers, and seeing my children's activism around the climate has helped me step up my own. I'm also a creative writer, a poet and essayist. I hold a PhD in English, and I'm the founder of Align Your Story, which offers classes and coaching to women. So in my professional life, I help people get clear on what it is they want to be saying, and I give them the skills and confidence to do that. So I want to do that today here around the climate and ecological crisis. And the first thing I want to say is just trust your own voice. Don't worry about talking in the wrong way. Just talk and be yourself. So over the past years, it's been increasingly clear to me, and I think to many of us, that our Earth is in great peril. And the climate crisis and ecological crisis is really the backdrop of our lives. It's the condition against which everything else is unfolding. But we've seen politics, war, the pandemic, local disasters, even celebrity culture take over our news cycles. And the climate crisis gets very little attention. So it's up to us then to talk about it and to be the ones who are taking action through our conversations, because our voices are more powerful than we think. And when we act together, that power is compounded. So this is the situation. 1 in 4 species are at risk of extinction. And unless we talk about it and share this information with our friends, share our concern, and share the fact that there are ways that we can take action, we won't see change. But talking and communicating is the most necessary step for real change. In this series of webinars, I want to give you the power, the confidence, and the skills you need to speak effectively about the climate crisis. I'm not going to be giving you a lot of scientific data, but instead I'm going to encourage you to just be yourself and communicate about what matters. The UN emissions report says that scientists say we need to increase current efforts 5-fold if we want to even have a chance of limiting warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. And we need to increase our efforts 3-fold if we want to have a chance of limiting warming to 2 degrees Celsius. And 2 degrees Celsius, as we know, brings about catastrophic effects. So it's easy to slip into complacency, but the science is real. And if we continue as we're going, we have a 0% chance of avoiding catastrophic consequences. So this first video will cover the power that we have in our own voices to come together and bring about change. The second video will give you more specific ways you can talk about climate crisis effectively, and then in the third, you will have we'll address some common questions and objections and give you some tools to keep going and not get burned out. So, Extinction Rebellion's first demand is to tell the truth, and you can be a truth teller, because if we don't tell the truth, we cannot possibly address the issue. Those of us who care about the climate and ecological crisis often feel powerless. We are facing the biggest challenge humanity has ever encountered, and yet very little information or media attention is given to it. According to a study of UC Berkeley, over 90% of scientists agree that there is a climate crisis caused by human activity. But as of 2019, the New York Times mentions a scientific consensus, a mere 4% of times in articles about climate change. And the fact that we are experiencing a level of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere that hasn't been seen in millions of years is mentioned in only 1% of the paper's articles. So we could feel powerless. But when we come together and act together, we really can use our voices to speak out and become empowered. So Frances Moore Lappé, the activist, writes, "Hope is not what we see in evidence, it is what we become in action." And that is what I hope we can all experience for ourselves. So even though the media is not giving this the attention that we wish it were giving to the climate and ecological crisis, we can each be our own media center. The word media comes from the Latin word medium, which itself comes from the word middle. So we can think of ourselves as being in the middle, talking to people, creating the kinds of shifts in perspective that we need. So don't feel that the gatekeepers are keeping us out. We can be our own middlemen, our own media centers. Just take a moment to reflect. How often has reading the news made you change your actions? How often have you changed your weekend plans because you've read a newspaper article or watched a TV show? By contrast, how often has a suggestion from a friend or family member affected your weekend plans? The people who are around us or who are in our social circles, either physically or not physically, our family, friends, coworkers, neighbors, have enormous influence on us. They affect not only how we act, but also our political beliefs, the jobs we pursue, the kinds of families we choose to have, what we do in our leisure time, and even our health and weight. So in the book, Connected, The Surprising Power of Our Social Networks and How They Shape Our Lives, Nicholas Christakis writes, "We discovered that if your friend's friend's friend gained weight, you gained weight. We discovered that if your friend's friend's friend stopped smoking, you stopped smoking. And we discovered that if your friend's friend's friend became happy, you became happy. When a friend quit smoking, the odds of the other friend quitting smoking went up by 36%. Our networks have a very large influence on us. So actively use your networks by sharing with them your concerns, your actions, and by creating different cultural norms." There are solutions. We can join Extinction Rebellion, we can protest, we can be part of a collective movement. So again, if we're feeling despondent that our leaders aren't doing more, we can shift our expectations and take the power back onto ourselves, which in an ideal society is where it should be vested in the first place. And if we're feeling despondent that not enough people are acting, let's remember that we only need to motivate 3.5% of the population. The researcher Erica Chenoweth has found that nonviolent protests are twice as likely to succeed as armed conflicts, and that there weren't any campaigns that had failed after they had achieved 3.5% participation during a peak event. So in the next video, I will be talking about how to motivate people to become part of that 3.5%. But in this video, I really want to just emphasize again the power that we have as individuals to bring about change and the importance of talking to your social networks, not leaving it to external gatekeepers, but taking the power back onto ourselves so that we can be the change that we want to see. So in the next video, we'll learn how to talk to people and bring them with you to be part of this much needed movement for change. So thanks for being here, and I hope to see you in the next video.